What's up everyone, it's me, Vivi, and welcome to another Ratchet Clank video. So for the introduction, I'm gonna be talking about something. If you don't want to listen, just skip. I'm gonna put like a time frame on screen for you guys, so there you go. I was debating on when to cover this, topic. Of course I didn't plan to cover this straight up after the art book was out. The book was officially out on July 24th. It went through a bunch of delays, something you're probably familiar with. Yeah, July 24th it was, for North America at least. Some got the book later from what I've been reading. I got it almost a week before July 24th. Was I lucky? I have no idea, it just happened. But of course I didn't plan on showing anything at all before the actual release, which was July 24th. The juicy stuff I wanted to eventually cover is this. The Lombax Society. It's now been 2.5 months since the art book's release. Did I wait long enough? I considered those who were still planning to get the book, at least for those who pre-ordered it. Now some might say, but dude, I haven't got the book, I had no idea about this book, I didn't pre-order it, I want to get it, and this video for me is considered as spoilers. As I said, I waited 2 months, maybe I should have waited longer. All I'm gonna say is this, if you don't want to watch it, then just click away. I'm probably getting too paranoid for nothing at all. But one thing is sure, I at least wanted to wait a month before covering this. I decided to wait longer. But maybe I should have longer, but you get it. Anyways, let's move on. The reason why you clicked this video. 3 pages out of the art book are dedicated to a cut, let's put it this way, storyline. The Lombax Society. The story of the Lombaxes has been an ongoing speculative idea for a future game. Will Ratchet ever see more of his race? Will he visit their dimension? Clank took the Dimensionator. What did he do with it? We have no idea. Did he fix it? Did he get rid of it? We don't know. I'm gonna read the first page. It's not like a huge paragraph, it's just like a small description. Lombax Society. The Nexus Lombax Society would have included several thriving factions, including warriors, pilots, scouts, and mechanics, all united against the malicious Cragmite Scourge. By the way, that armor at the bottom, that looks sick. So wait a minute, is this Into the Nexus we're looking at? Concept idea, or the Nexus game which was planned for 2006, which later on translated to Deadlocked in the end. Some of the ideas for that game, I guess, went to Deadlocked. Now the way the art book is set up, you move from one game to the other, no surprise there. All concepts you see in the book fall under the category of that game. It's self-explanatory. This page falls into the Nexus concept art category, so there you go. I have absolutely no clue if this was explained elsewhere, being maybe the 2006 game Nexus? But like I just said, seeing how the book is composed, this to me looks like it was part of Into the Nexus, a game from 2013. Now there is this post on the Ratchet Clank Amino page. If you stumble on this, this was before the book's release. This was posted back in February. Some pages were leaked, if you had no idea. They had no idea if the pages of the Lombaxes were in the Into the Nexus category. Anyways, already we can tell, not all Lombaxes had the same height or bodily features. So really, Angela being taller than Ratchet, seeing this, it shouldn't be surprising at this point. But does it answer the question of female Lombaxes having tails? Let's not get into that, okay? So wait, Cragmites were planned to return? You guys might ask, okay, but how? Into the Nexus is after Tools of Destruction, years after Tools of Destruction. The Cragmites were banished, apart from the whole Tachyon ordeal, bringing some of the Cragmites back to cause havoc, and that was done by using the original Dimensionator, in Tools of Destruction. What was the Dimensionator used for instead in Into the Nexus? To bring the Nethers into Ratchet's world. Well, they tried to. Vendra and Neftin's Dimensionator wasn't as stable as the original, nor reliable. Now wait, it says Nexus Lombax Society. Some of you might bring this up in the comments. Oh, the Lombaxes from the Netherverse, perhaps? Is that what it's referring to? I don't think so. I think it's Insomniac Games' way of saying, hey, there were supposed to be Lombaxes in that game. I could be wrong, but that's just the way I see it. I don't think the Lombaxes lived in the Netherverse. Well, some of them. If they did, by any chance, some of them in the Lombax dimension, moving to the Netherverse, would they even be able to live in that sort of atmosphere, right? So let's not overthink on that part, right? Let's just imagine they're referring to how the Lombaxes were supposed to be part of Into the Nexus. Next page I want to show you. This one. 1 part galactic nether beast, 1 part maniacal cybernetic killing machine. Vendra's closest childhood pal wasn't the friendliest playmate. Yep, some Lombaxes were enslaved, looking at this picture, imprisoned by apparently Vendra's playmate. This guy must have been the original idea for Mr. I, or maybe not, seeing how the book is put together. On the previous page we have Mr. I, in fact. This guy does look an awfully lot different than the nethers. Maybe another type of nether? Or maybe we just don't see his stomach area? You know, all glowy? But anywho, let's focus on one thing. Enslaving Lombaxes. Wouldn't that be more of Tachyon's thing? Tachyon, after Tools of Destruction, got stuck on Dimension A266, later meeting Artemis Zog. Who is Artemis Zog? I did make a summary of the comics in this video. If you want to check it out, go ahead. The next part confirms one thing though. The return of the Kragmites was indeed thought of. Early explorations of Nexus centered upon the return of the Kragmites and their disparaged prisoners, the Lombax. These guys to me look like Lombax tech. Notice the alphabet and the Lombax logo. Now on the next page, there's more of their technology. This right here, more concepts for Lombax technology, all cunningly engineered to combat their alien oppressors. Now that dude on top, I don't know if that's Ratchet. I mean, who else wears a pilot's helmet all the time? It could be Ratchet or maybe not, it's just concept. I mean, same goes for that guy at the bottom. And again, we notice the different body traits these guys have. Although there's no mention of Tachyon, were they planning to team up Vendra with Tachyon? I mean, the Kragmites, if you think about them, you quickly think of Tachyon. Vendra is not a Kragmite. I mean, I don't think they had intended for her to be one. Insomniac Games explained that her concept was to be evil queens of fairy tale inspired. I'm thinking Maleficent was a source of inspiration. Now there is one thing I'm wondering. Did Vendra use the Dimensionator she had built, alright, to find Mr. I and then find the Lombaxes? One thing I don't get is this: why enslave the Lombaxes if they haven't done anything to you? I mean, you guys might say, hey, isn't that the part of being a villain, you know? Doing stuff for no reason, just for self-satisfaction? Villains, basically, you get it? But considering the fact that Lombaxes hid themselves into another dimension, why go through the effort to bring the Lombaxes and mess with them? Why? The art book doesn't state too much. I wish it did. Hey, maybe this explains that the idea of the Lombaxes was a very early idea in the process of development. That could explain the lack of info. I mean, all we do know is they had the idea to explore more of the Lombaxes. That's it. Now, did Mr. I originally make a deal with Vendra? Did the Lombaxes come into contact with the Nethers and Mr. I? Is this like some sort of revenge sort of plot they were aiming at? Seeing how the Lombaxes are a brilliant species, maybe they thought of coming back to Ratchet's dimension, only to mistakenly stumble upon the Nethers instead. And something happened between the two and caused them to get triggered. Maybe the Lombaxes could have found the Psionic Shard again in their dimension, which is a rare specimen used to manufacture the original Dimensionator. If you combine negative energy and that shard together, you can open a dimensional rift, a tunnel, something we've seen in the comics. As I said before, check out the summary video I made. The Psionic Shard, maybe the Lombaxes found it there, in their dimension, and found a way to make the Dimensionator work again. Create another one. But what about the Kragmites? Where do they fit in? And how did they find the Lombaxes? Considering all the questions we go over, I mean, Vendra, the Kragmites, Mr. I, that's a lot. Maybe due to the time frame they had to develop a shorter Ratchet & Clank game, Insomniac Games thought, hey, I think it's better to leave the story of the Lombaxes for another game. Perhaps and hopefully fully fledged. Yes, their original idea of Into the Nexus was to have Vendra team up with the Nethers, and perhaps the Kragmites as well. Or they could have been enemies, I have no idea what they were thinking about. Considering all this, I'm starting to understand why IG scrapped the idea. You start asking yourselves too many questions like, how are we gonna do this? Okay, where do these guys fit in? What are we gonna do with Vendra? Is she friends with the Kragmites? Are the Kragmites friends with the Nethers? You see? I mean, the Lombaxes alone, I want them to make a separate game. Into the Nexus was an interesting game, and we're just looking at Nefton and Vendra trying to bring back Mr. I. That alone didn't make it a bad game. The only concern people had with that game was the length. So imagine a game with the Lombaxes. An ongoing subject, always being discussed. Some might disagree, hey, we should just leave it be. Some, including myself, feel like there's some potential in there, that they could do something with it. Maybe use it to wrap up the series. Their story alone, in short, is worthy of a game. That's it, that's all. So with that being said, guys, tell me, did you know about this or not? The Lombaxes being part of Into the Nexus. I'm gonna say it again, I do not think this was part of the 2006 game. If it is, and I made a mistake, please say so in the comments, because I couldn't find anything on that subject. I'm just going with how the book is put together, okay? So yeah, leave all your thoughts, questions, everything in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.